So hello guys, welcome to my channel Himachali Wisdom. And in the last lecture we have discussed about the executive councils of the Indian Parliament. We have actually finished the executive councils of the Indian Parliament, and we have discussed about the president and the vice president and the councils of the minister, as well as we have discussed about the prime minister of India. And if you would like to watch this video of mine, then I will give you link on the I button. By pressing the I button you can watch my this video and subscribe to my channel for the latest and upcoming videos. So let's roll the video of today's lecture. So today we discuss about the state legislature structure. That in as we have already discussed at the central level, we have discussed about the Indian Parliament structure, which consists of the state, legislature and the executive and the judiciary part. In the same way, we have three parts as well as in the state platform, that is state legislature, which consists of state legislature, state executive and judiciary. State legislature is equivalent to the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha of the Indian Parliament, as well as state executive is equivalent to the Prime Minister, Council of the Minister and the President. As well as judiciary, there is a High Court for the state level, just like we have a Supreme Court at the union level. So state level. So for the state level, we will discuss about the Vidhan Sabha and the Vidhan Parishad. So first of all, let's discuss about the state legislature. Then we will move to the state executive and so on. So let's just discuss about the state legislature, that how the state legislature will work at the state level. So state level we have two form of the government, that is one is legislative assembly and the one is legislative council, and governor is the part of the state executive. Governor will work same as that of the president at the union level, and in the state legislature we have legislative assembly and we have legislative council. So the function of the state legislature is same as that of the parliament at the center. Just like we have legislative administration at the center, we have state legislature at the state level. So in some of the state, as we have already discussed, that in state legislature we have two platform, that is legislative assembly, which is called Vidhan Sabha, and another one is legislative council, which is known as the Vidhan Parishad. And in some of the state there is a bicameral structure. Bicameral structure, what does it mean? It means that in some of the state there are legislative assembly as well as there is legislative council also, but in most of the states in India we have only legislative assembly. And the states which have the bicameral structures are following: UP, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra. In these states we have bicameral structures, and in most of the states in India we have the unicameral structures. Unicameral structures mean these states have only the legislative assembly and not the legislative councils. And if these states would like to add the legislative councils into their legislature, then they can do it by the special majority that we have discussed in the majority part, that how we can add the legislative council in the state legislature. So let's discuss about the legislative assembly first. First of all, we have in the state legislature, that is, we have legislative assembly. The legislative assembly will work same as that of the Lok Sabha. It means that legislative assembly is equivalent to the House of the People, that is Lok Sabha. In Hindi, legislative assembly means Vidhan Sabha, which is equivalent to the Lok Sabha. So let's discuss about the strength of the Vidhan Sabha or the legislative assembly. The maximum strength of the legislative assembly is that of 500 is the maximum strength, and the minimum number of the strength in the legislative assembly, that is in Vidhan Sabha, is 60. But there is some exceptions, that cause in some of the Indian states their population is very low. So in some of the states this minimum number of the number is exceptional case. So for example, the legislative assemblies of the Sikkim and the Meghalaya have very low number of the seats. So say their minimum number is less than 60. So these are the some of the states that are exception to the minimum number of the seats at the Vidhan Sabha level. Then there is some type of the reservation also for the SCs and the ST in the Vidhan Sabha. And in the legislative assembly, just like the we have already discussed at the Lok Sabha level that president nominate the two members for the Lok Sabha. At the legislative assembly, the same thing has happened. And on the place of the president, the governor can nominate one member to the legislative assembly. If there is some need of the member in the legislative assembly, then there is a power vested to the governor of the state that he can nominate one member to the legislative assembly if there is a adequately need of the member. Now, just like we have member of the parliament in the Lok Sabha, and they are selected by the adult franchisee, that is up to the age of 18 can vote in the election of the member of the parliament, that is for the selection of the member of the Lok Sabha. Just like we have for the election of the MLA, that's the member of the legislative assembly, same process has happened here. So the election of the MLA is same as that of the member of the parliament at the Lok Sabha level. And if you'd like to watch this video of mine, then you can watch it by pressing the I button or go to my polity lectures. Similarly, in the legislative assembly, we have same structure of the speaker and the deputy speaker at the legislative assembly that we have already discussed at the time of the Lok Sabha. Just like we have in Lok Sabha, there is a speaker and the deputy speaker, and there is a speaker and a deputy speaker. In the same case, we have at the legislative assembly level, we have speaker and deputy speaker too. And the work of the speaker and the deputy speaker is same as that of the work of the speaker and the deputy speaker at the Lok Sabha level. Now, in the legislative assembly, governor will play the role of the president, just like we have the role of the president in the Lok Sabha at the union level or at the center. We have at the legislative assembly same role is played by the governor, and whichever will be the task assigned to the president of India at the for the legislative assembly. So for the House of the People, we have the same work for the governor at the level of the legislative assembly. Now, after the legislative assembly, the next part of the state legislature would be legislative council. Legislative council is a permanent house of the at the state level, just like we have at the union level. We have Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha will equivalent to the legislative council. The only difference is that if there is some exceptional states that have bicameral legislative assembly, only these states have the legislative councils, and other states have only unicameral legislative unicameral legislature that we have already discussed. So let's discuss about the legislative council, how the legislative council will be chosen. So the legislative council is the second house of the state, and it is the permanent house of the state, and legislative council will work in the state which have the bicameral legislature. So just like we have in Rajya Sabha, the tenure of the member of the Rajya Sabha of the 6 year, and every after every 2 years, one third of these members got retired. Just like we have in at the legislative for the legislative council, we have some members of the legislative council, which we have which have the tenure of the 6 year also at the state level too, and they got retired after every 2 years. One third of them got retired every 2 years. So legislative councils and Rajya Sabha will work almost same. Now, legislative assembly can pass a bill with special majority if they want to legislative council in the state under the Article 368. That is, if any state wants to make the state bicameral legislature, then for the addition of the legislative council, they can pass a bill by the special majority. For the case of the special majority, you can watch my majority lectures, and by passing the special majority under the Article 368 of the Constitution, one state can add a legislative council to the legislative assembly. So let's discuss about the strength of the legislative council at the state level. The maximum number of the legislative council is not exceed one third of the total strength of the legislative assembly. That legislative council strength should not be exceed the total one by third strength of the legislative assembly of that particular state. Suppose we have 545, we have 500 seats at the some state at the legislative assembly. Then one by third of the 500 should be there for the legislative council. Not more than this. And the minimum strength for the legislative councils fixed is that is 40. Now let's discuss about the selection of the members of the legislative council, how they got selected to the legislative council. So one by third of the member of the legislative council got selected by the member of the legislative assemblies by the election, and one by third of the member of the legislative council got elected by the panchayat and the municipal corporations, and one by sixth of the member of the legislative councils got nominated by the president, and the president can only nominate those persons which have some special cultural or scientific or educational skills. And one by 12th members of the legislative council got elected by the graduates of the states. Similarly, 1 by 12th got selected by the teachers of the state, but only those teachers will get the opportunity to select the members of legislative councils not below the rank of the secondary level. They will they have to at least attain the rank of the higher secondary teachers only. So for the selection of in the selection of the legislative councils, these five method will work for the selection, that 1 by third plus 1 by third plus 1 by sixth plus 1 by 12th plus 1 by 12th. So this is all about the legislative council. Now let's discuss about the governor. That is, the governor is also just like a president. We have president will play a role of the will play double role, that is at the executive level and at the legislative level. Similarly, we have the state level, we have the governor who plays the same role for both the legislative part and for the executive part as well. So in this lecture we discuss about the governor also. So just like the president that we have already discussed, that president is the executive head of the union. So at the state level, governor is the executive head of the state at the state level. Just like the president, he acts on the advice of the council of the minister and the chief minister. Chief minister will work same as that of the prime minister of India at the state level. And the governor is appointed by the president for the period of 5 years. But governor can hold the office on the pleasure of the president. If the president would like that these governors should be there for the upcoming extension of the 5 years, then he can do so by using his veto power. Now it is also in the power of the president that he can remove the governor of the state, or he can transfer him to the another state whenever he feels necessary. And in case the governor got died or he got resigned from the office of the governor, then the chief justice, it is the duty of the chief justice of the high court to attain his post. Just like we have at the central level, on the resignation of the president, the chief justice of the supreme court will work as the president. In the same case, we have, if governor resigns, then after his resignation or after his death, the chief justice of the high court would do the same. Now governor is just like a link between the center and the state. Actually, he reports the different type of the activities and different type of the affairs of the state to the president of India. So he is just like a messenger to the president of India. Now his qualification is same as that of the president of India. Now the governor of the his qualification is same as that of the president of India. Now for the qualification you need to watch my president lecture, that what are the qualification of the president of India. As I have already discussed about the classification and the qualification of the president of India in my last lecture. So if you want to know about the qualification of the president, then you can watch this lecture on my polity videos. Now let's discuss about that who on actually the governor of the state will take the oath before the chief justice of the high court, and the chief justice of the high court will get the oath before the governor and the vice versa. So the point is, governor of the state would get selected by the president, that is president appoints the governor, but governor takes oath before the chief justice of the high court, not before the president. This is the point to remember. Please underline that. Now let's discuss about the powers of the governor. Just like we have some power of the president, we have already discussed at the president lecture, we have some power vested to the governor also. There are some executive powers, some legislative powers, some financial powers, some judicial powers, some military powers, and emergency power. So let's discuss about this six power of the governor. Just we have discussed about the executive power of the president at the central level or at the union level. Governor have also some executive power, and all the decisions of the executive, that is all the decisions of the policies and some laws making in the at the state level, are taken in the name of the governor. That governor is a head of the state and it's just a constitutional head of the state, but all the decisions of the law and the other advices, governor need some advices from the chief minister and the councils of the ministers. That is that the governor, if governor would like to appoint the cabinet minister and advocate generals and judges of the high court, judges of the court, note judges of the court, not the judges of the high court. Judges of the high court will get appointed by the president only. And if he would like to, governor would like to appoint cabinet ministers and other want to implement some law on the state, then he would need to advise from the chief minister and his council of the minister. Just like we have discussed at the union level, the prime minister need to be the president need to advise from the prime minister and the council of the state. So in the same case here, the same thing will work accordingly. Now let's discuss about the legislative power. Just like the president have the legislative power, we have also the governor some legislative power. The governor of the states would summon the both session of the houses, that is both the session of the houses will get summoned by the president, and he has also the power to dissolve the state legislature, that he can dissolve the legislative assembly of the state. And just like we have discussed that 1/6 members of the legislative council, if the state has the bicameral legislature, then 1/6 member of the legislative councils will get appointed by the president of the India. And one of the important legislative power of the president is that he can nominate the one member of the Anglo-Indian community to the legislative assembly of the state. That one member of the legislative assembly got nominated by the governor of the state. Just like we have some of the members, two members of the Lok Sabha get appointed by the president of the India. In the same case, we have governor of at the state level, in which governor nominates the one member of the Anglo-Indian community to the legislative assembly if there is a need of that member. Now, the one of the legislative power of the president is that he can give his assent to the bill, that he can give the assent to his bill. He can actually, if any bill need to get through the Lok Sabha, or get through the legislative assembly or the legislative council, then first of all, this some of the bills need assent from the governor of the state to get passed. Now let's discuss about the financial power. Just like we have discussed at the central level, that if any money bill want to get passed from the Lok Sabha, then this will need to be assent by need some assent from the president. In the same case, at the state level, no money bill can be introduced without the prior recommendation of the governor. That if the money bill need to introduce in the legislative assembly, that is the important part, that money bill is only introduced in the legislative assembly at the state level, just like we have money bill introduced in the Lok Sabha at the union level. In the same case, money before introduction of the money bill in the Lok Sabha, this money bill need prior recommendation from the governor. After that only the money bill can be passed. Now let's discuss about the some of the judicial power of the governor. So judicial power of the governor. So just like we have discussed in the at the central level, that president have some judicial power, that he appoints the chief justice of the high court, judges of the Supreme Court, and chief justice of the Supreme Court. We have some judicial power for the governor as well, but governor can only appoint the judges of the court below the high court. Here one point is need to be noted, that the judges of the high court need to be appointed only by the president, and below that level, that below the high court, all the judges court appoints by the get appointed by the governor of the state. Now president can ask the governor of the state before appointing the judges and the chief justice of the high court. Now if the president want to appoint the judges of the high court and chief justice of the high court, then he needs some advice, and he needs to advise from the governor of the state. And just like we have discussed that for the president there are some pardon powers, there is also some pardon powers for the governor as well. Just like as we have discussed at the president have pardon power. Pardon power means completely he can completely absolve the offend and reprieve, that he can stay on the execution for the pending sentence, and remission to reduce the amount of the sentence of the, and respite means that avoiding the lesser sentence instead of prescribing penalty. But the Pardon in case of the death sentence, this power is only vested to the president only. Governor cannot grant the pardon in case of the death sentence. This is the exception in the power between the president and the governor of the state. That president can pardon in the case of the death sentence, but the governor cannot. Now let's discuss about some of the emergency powers that vested to the governor of the state. That governor of the states, just like we have discussed in the president level, that for the president we have three type of emergency, that national emergency, financial emergency, and state emergency. For the governor, there is a power of the proclamation of the state emergency on uh, if president want to actually if the president want to proclaim the state emergency on the failure of the constitution at the state level, then governor need to consult that governor need to inform the president that yes, there is a failure of the constitution in the financial machinery of the state, or there is a failure of the constitution at the state level, so you should implement or proclaim the state emergency here. And on that advice of the governor, the president imposes the state emergency, that is article number 356 on the president or by consulting the governor. Now let's discuss about some of the discretionary power of the president or governor of the state. Now, just like we have discretionary power for the president, that president can elect the prime minister, can elect the councils of minister, dismissal of the councils of the minister, can dissolution the Lok Sabha. As the same case in the governor itself, that governor can select the CM at the place of the prime minister, and he can dismissal the minister on the advice of the CM, and he can also dissolve the legislative assembly, just like we have the dissolution of the Lok Sabha by the president. And he can ask for the state rule, that is state emergency, by asking the president for the president rule under the article 356 of the constitution. Now let's discuss about the second part of the executive at the state level, that is the chief minister of the state. Chief minister of the state will work same as that of the prime minister of the India. And according to the article number 164 of the constitution, it says that governor shall appoint a chief minister and the councils of the minister on the advice of the governor. So chief minister and the council of the minister need to be advised by the governor to get appointed. Just like we have the prime minister and council of the minister need to be appointed by the advice of the president at the union level. And just like the prime minister is the real executive head of the state, here chief minister is the real executive head of the state. He has got all the powers. And according to the convention, we have already discussed that, just like we have discussed at the state union level, that president appoints the leader of the party with getting majority in legislative assembly. Same as the case of the governor, that governor appoints the leader of the party which getting the majority at the legislative assembly. And if no party gets the majority at the legislative assembly, then it is the power of the governor that he may use his power to appoint the CM. But in any case, CM need to appoint his majority at the legislative assembly. So the chief minister of the state will work same as that of the prime minister. Now let's discuss about the term of the office of the chief minister. So what is the term of the office of the chief minister? So just like we have discussed for the prime minister, the chief minister holds the office during the pleasure of the governor. The chief minister hold his rank or hold his office till the governor advises him to do so. But in any case, chief minister need to enjoy his power only when he has the confidence motion, that is, he has the confidence of his party at the legislative assembly, and he cannot be removed by the governor till he hold the confidence of the house. So in any case, he need to be prove his confidence at the legislative assembly, that until his party will get the majority at the legislative assembly, he got his seat for the chief minister and will continue his power. Now, just like we have Council of Ministers at the union level, we have same as that the case of the Council of Ministers at the state level. These Council of Ministers are appointed by the governor on the advice of the Chief Minister of the state. Council of the Minister, according to Article number 164, is collectively responsible to the Legislative Assembly of the state. So, Legislative Assembly, so Council of the Minister, or you can say Cabinet Minister of the state, are collectively responsible to the Legislative Assembly. Just like we have that Council of the Minister at the union level is responsible to the Lok Sabha. So here these two are responsible to the Vidhan Sabha. Now the Chief Minister decides the portfolio of the minister. Just like we have portfolio decided by the Prime Minister at the union level, we have Chief Minister who decides the portfolio of his cabinet minister at the state level, and he can also shuffle their portfolios, and he can assign the different department to the different ministers on the advice. Uh, Governor, actually the governor appointed this minister, but he need to get advice from the chief minister, because chief minister is the real executive head of the state right now. Now the chief minister can ask the ministers of the councils of the minister to resign, or he can advise the governor of the state to remove the ministers, because it is the power of the chief minister that if you would like to remove the any minister from his council, then he can advise the governor, and governor would need to act on this. And if the chief minister of the whole state, or chief minister of the state wholly, get resigned or get his resignation done to the president of India, then the whole council of the ministers gets dissolved, or whole legislative assembly will get dissolved if the chief minister uh, need to give his resignation. So in this lecture we have discussed about the legislative and so legislative at the legislative assembly, legislative councils, and executive structure at the state level. And this video is very similar to the video that we have already discussed at the center level. So the legislative and the executive and the judiciary will work same, or will equivalent to the legislative assembly, legislature, executive, and judiciary of the state level. So we have same structure as that of union level at the state level. And if you'd like to watch my other polity lectures, or my other Himachal GK lectures, or other history lectures, then I will give you link on the I button. You can press that I button and go and watch my these videos. And if you'd like to if you would like if you would like to me to make some videos on the MCQs related to these videos, then I will make upcoming videos regarding the MCQs from the which will contain the important question from the last week exams. And if you want that, then please do let me know in the comment section. Till then, stay safe, stay at your home, keep studying, keep watching my channel. Please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching it. Jai Hind.